Now to an NBC News exclusive. As a candidate for president, Donald Trump often spoke about his plans to keep the prison at Guantanamo Bay open. He's made good on that campaign promise, signing an executive order in January to keep it running indefinitely. Well, military officials are now asking Congress for millions of dollars in funding. NBC News national security reporter Julia Ainsley has an exclusive new look inside the base. She spoke to the U.S. military commander in charge of the detention operations in Guantanamo. Take a look.
The old administration, previous administration said, hey, we're going to close you down. All right. So people weren't paying attention to the buildings and everything else. We'll talk about that later. But the current administration came in here and said, stand by to potentially receive new guests. So, OK, I'm a soldier or a trooper. I'm follow orders, so we're ready to receive new guests. I think it's important to point out that there has been no decision made to send folks here, but we were told to get ready. We're ready. So we're asking Congress through the presidential budget request process for money for something we call Camp 8, and that's to replace Camp 7. That facility was built rapidly, not intended for long term. It's sort of falling into the ground and deteriorating rapidly. So we really need to replace that.
And NBC's Julia Ainsley joins us now live from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Great to have you with us, Julia. So obviously the history of Guantanamo Bay, very controversial in its own right. What more did you learn during your trip down there?
That's right, Eamon. I had a lot of time with Commander Ring over these past few days here in Guantanamo. What I learned is that they essentially have an unfunded mandate right now. They've been asking Congress for $89 million over the past 5 years, and it hasn't come through, largely because a lot of members of Congress don't want to look as though they're approving an expansion of Guantanamo. But as he's explained, it's really not an expansion, it's upkeep. He went through a lot of the details of some of these places, some of which we saw, some of which we weren't able to see because they're very secret. They describe having to sand down concrete in order to close doors. They have to have people put on waiters to go into leach fields because the sewage system is backing up. This is a place that has long repaired and made new camps, just like the one behind me. These are camps 1 through 4, no longer needed anymore. They moved them out as they built new camps. But now they don't need temporary structures. They need more permanent structures because right now they've been told to prepare to stay here for the next 25 years.
Julia, what the commander said to you about the prospect of new inmates on Guantanamo was very intriguing. Did he fill you in your conversations on any conversations he's had with the administration of where those inmates might come from, what theaters of operation they're looking at, when that might actually happen, and what kind of numbers that might be?
I think they're really sitting in the dark. One metaphor he kept going back to is that he's the innkeeper. He takes people in when he's told to take them in. He transfers them when he's told to transfer them. But they really want to distance themselves from policy here and just follow orders. But in a lot of ways, they're kept in the dark. These decisions are made in Washington. They could not know until the last minute when they're transferring someone in. They're just told to get ready. But of course, that's really tough because there's a lot of planning you have to do. For example, if they bring someone in from ISIS, they would have to keep them in a place completely separate from the facilities I was able to see that have a lot of al-Qaeda operatives. They can't mix those populations. If they got a juvenile, if they got a woman, they would have to keep them in a separate facility. That would all have to be built very quickly. And another thing they have to do to build temporarily right now is if anyone is ever going under surgery or is wheelchair bound, they had to build a temporary shelter for a man who just did his 5th consecutive spine surgery and did not have a cell big enough where they could fit a hospital bed. So there's a lot of temporary measures kind of putting Band-Aids on these problems, but they said they're in a real hard place if they don't get that funding.
All right, Julia Ainsley with an exclusive look inside Guantanamo Bay. So, Brett, obviously.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.